So what if I told you that I'm going to get you delivering the club so that you can hit those baby little draws all day long, but you're never going to have to work on shallowing the club yourself. And that sounds good, doesn't it? Because there's a lot of videos out there about how you're going to shallow the club. Now, first of all, let's talk about what is shallowing the club. So it's simply that ability that as we work back on the downswing, the club should go down behind us, meaning that it's easier to get the club coming from the inside, and with good club face control, we can hit those draws, straight shots, but certainly say goodbye to those horrible slicey ones. So for a lot of golfers, what they'll stand up and make their swing, they'll see that ball that curves over to the right. They can see the club path there, minus 7.8 degrees, which is out to in. And what I love is we want to have that ability to get that club shallowing, but without consciously working on it. And this is where I've got Hackmotion on my wrist. Great bit of kit for some feedback as to what that lead wrist is doing. So when it goes into that position, the club face is very open. We tend to see the club work across, and particular impact, we see a lot of that. Whereas when the club shallows, we see that wrist flattening off. But I think for a lot of golfers, it's very difficult to kind of think about that and get that good at impact. So what's great with Hackmotion is you can actually practice this getting into particular positions or actually working at full speed. So like I said at the start of the video, we're going to get you shallow in the club, but never ever consciously working on what you're doing with that lead wrist. And the way I want to work on it is we're going to swing to the top as normal, and we can see on Hackmotion here, the plus number is that it's a little bit cupped. But what I want you to feel is as you're getting towards the top, I want you to already start going towards the target and let the club naturally just drop down behind you. And you can see straight away on Hackmotion there, that going green, then you can just swing through. So like I said, all you're looking to do from there, swing back as normal, but before the club gets to the top, move towards the target, and the momentum of your body going that way will get the club to drop down behind you. And when the club drops down behind you, see what happens to that wrist? Naturally, unless you pull with the hands, we can naturally get the weight of the club to drop down behind you without you ever needing to work on that lead wrist position. So I would always say you have a few practice swings, maybe a bit slower to begin with. That felt good. And I can definitely feel as soon as I move there, I can feel by there the vibration on my wrist, so I know the club's going down behind me, and then I can swing through. So then we would drag the golf ball in. I'm going to get a little bit of feedback from Hackmotion here as to whether that's correct. And what we should see on TrackMan is the path, instead of being out to in, should be more from the inside. So move early. So there's a very different path, 5 degrees from the inside. And even though everything's not perfect there, we can see a little bit extended at the top, but very, very flexed at impact. Again, slightly too flexed, but certainly showing that lead wrist in a very different position. And it's an interesting one because I get lots of golfers come to me and say, I want to get here, and then how do I twist the shaft? Potentially. I think as soon as you're thinking about that, it's so hard to get back to where you want. So if you just got that feel of the club going back, body moving early, you can see even on the video there, as soon as I go, my body moves that way, the club drops down behind me, and then we can make that swing. So again, we're going to get there. Remember, it's all about starting that downswing a little bit earlier, and this is what all the best players in the world do, but unfortunately very few club golfers. So a little bit thin with the strike, But again, we can see on TrackMan delivery 6 degrees from the inside, club face 5.7 degrees closed. And we can see there on Hackmotion, very, very different lead wrist position, much better at the top. Then we see that minus number, so the wrist's more into flexion, and that becomes almost that perfect delivery. And as a coach, I love accurate feedback. And obviously I'm very fortunate that I've got TrackMan using IO at the moment, but anything like that where you can get that feel, or you can get it making the noise if you want. I can feel there, no vibration. As soon as I move that way, now there's the vibration. Now the beauty is the weight of that club head at the top of the swing, unless you interfere with it, as you go that way, the weight wants to go down behind you. So for me, you should never really have to work too hard on that. But if I stay on that back foot and start my downswing, can't feel any vibration. If I hit a shot like that, there's the big out to in one. There's the club face wide open. But I would say the majority of golfers struggle with that out to in path, and they want to shallow the golf club, but it's actually because that club face is poor. So if I get to the top and pull the club, I can see now very, very extended from my lead wrist, plus 40 degrees. The only way I can get that club back onto the golf ball is to go that way. That's going to be a very weak glancing blow. But like we said, if you can get that habit of moving towards the target, the beauty for me is by the time I get there, I can already feel the vibration. Then I can just kind of keep turning through the shot. And it becomes a much more simple movement. And I'm always a big fan. If you can get something to happen from a technique perspective in your golf swing that's actually happening because of something else, I always think that's great. The less things you have to think about, one, the more chance of you producing it on a regular basis, but also the more chance of hitting the type of shot you want if there's less to think about. So again, we're going to, as we get the hands almost opposite my chest, I'm going to feel like I move towards the target. Actually, the vibration's even earlier there. Let's hit a shot. Again, lovely. 5 degrees, 5.8 degrees to the inside. Club face 5 degrees closed. Now, really good at the top. Actually, if anything, slightly too flexed at impact. But that's just then a sign that that club face, with the wrist going more that way, that club face getting a little bit too closed. Now, for anyone who slices the golf ball, you probably won't mind that. You're going to love to see the club drop down, club face be a bit more closed, and see that ball curving a bit more from right to left. But it is amazing how if you can get the body motion correct, how all of a sudden, as long as that hold of the club, the grip's decent, you're going to start getting that club into a very neutral position. And it's much easier with no manipulation needed through the bottom. So again, we're going to set up. Let's make sure that's still on, get that feedback. So we can see lots and lots of extension at address. There we go. That early move gets that lead wrist, club's gone down behind me, then I can just turn through. So let's have one more good one to finish. Again, that's that big drawy one, 6 degrees from the inside, club face 6.4 degrees closed. Again, address is fine at the top, really good. And certainly at impact, overdoing it a little bit. But like I said before, if you're somebody who has that club face wide open, can't feel any vibration there, if we can get that club face to close, I can feel the vibration because that left wrist's better, but it's all about make that swing, move early. I can feel that wrist go. I can feel the club drop down behind me. And from there, it's a much simpler move to get through the ball, swing through to the finish. And maybe, just maybe, with that move, you'll never ever have to work on shallowing the club again.